Hi everyone, so I'm here to do another video for you guys, and in this video I'm going to talk about the relationship with all of my exes, like basically my dating life. I know I had talked about this a while back, but it was just one guy. I want to talk about like sort of all my relationships in general because I never really had like any real relationships. They were kind of like all just like puppy love kind of thing, like one of those things where you just kind of don't really know what you want. So you go from one person to the other until you find that certain someone, which I haven't yet, but I'm sure I will. But anyway, I'm going to try to tell every story with the exception of one, but that's just because it's kind of hard for me to just like talk about all over the internet. But I will get to that once I get to that point because I will be talking about this guy, but there's this one story that I'm not going to talk about just because I don't really want it all over the internet for thousands of people to see because it is kind of disturbing. But other than that, I will talk about what I can. So, like I said, I know that the last video was kind of about just my one ex, so it was all like long and drawn out. So this is going to be just like a quicker story of all my about my exes. So you'll get like the gist of everything that happened, but it's not going to be as drawn out and all that because otherwise I would be sitting here talking probably for like 2 hours. Okay. So, I'm going to start with the guy I was dating now. I'm going to use real names in this video. I know that a lot of people give people, like when they talk about certain people, they give them alias names. I don't do that. And I mean, I can understand why people do it because if, let's say, that said person were to watch their video, they don't want, like, that the creator doesn't want that person to know that they were being talked about. So if you say, oh, I'm going to talk about my friend and this is their alias name, well, then they're not going to know that it was like about them. They might think like, oh, okay, maybe this is about someone else, but they just use an alias name just so they can like have a name to call. But I don't do that. I don't really see the point in doing that because if somebody listens really carefully, like you're gonna know that that the creator's talking about you. They just are giving you an alias name. So I don't really see the point in doing that. So like I said, I don't do that. So I'm going to be using real names in this video. So anyway, okay. So we're gonna start with what happened to me when I was 8. Okay, and now I know this video is gonna be like all over the place and it's gonna be probably gonna be long. So I'm just warning you about that too. It's gonna be all over the place. Okay, so I was dating this guy named Alex, and we were kind of dating off and on for like the past, like, or not the past, but we were dating off and on for, I would say, about like 10 or 12 years, something like that. I think it was about 12 years. But that was just because, like, there were a lot of things that happened. Like, he had moved and we just really couldn't keep it together because of the distance. That was really what ended things between us. But other than that, it was just like, that was really what it was that ended it. Just distance. And even when we were living in the same state, we only really saw each other like 3 or 4 times a year. And it was just because, like, we lived really far away from each other, even though we were in the same state. And some people would tell me, like some of my friends would be like, well, you guys live in the same state. You could see each other more. Well, we could, but at the time, we were kids. We were teenagers. We didn't have public transportation. We didn't have Uber. So we had to rely on our parents when we would get together with our parents. That was the only time we saw each other. So I suppose if we were in a relationship now, and it was like a real relationship, it was serious, I suppose things would be different because we both have paratransit. We both have Uber. I have Lyft. I don't know if he uses Lyft. I don't know. But yeah, that's beside the point. But I suppose it would be different now if we saw each other, like if we were together now, because we would be able to see each other more without always having to have our parents drive us around. So that was basically what happened there. And he also had done things like that got me like in trouble. I'm not really going to go into that only because it would make this video really long. But basically he has accused me of things that I didn't do that could have gotten me in trouble. So, like I said, I'm not going to talk about that. I kind of want to talk about it, but okay, I know this video is all over the place, but I guess I'll tell you all what happened. So, just to kind of make a long story short, he had accused me of something, of writing letters to the NFB about how they don't help people with multiple disabilities. And he was confronted for it as to why he had wrote letters when he was asked not to, and he basically just said that I made him do it when I had nothing to do with it. So that happened, and I kind of like haven't really talked to him since then, because after we broke up, we were just friends. Now, we were never serious, but like, I guess we were never, I would never say in love or anything. We were kind of just like, I would fantasize about like us getting married, having like 6 kids. Obviously, like I would always talk about like us getting married and on Halloween having a Halloween party, as opposed to like just a regular wedding reception, and people would come in their costumes, and we'd have 6 kids, and we would take our honeymoon in Australia. But I know I'm kind of going off topic, but that was like what we talked about. So basically, so that happened where he was accusing me of something, of hanging out, of something I didn't do. And we were, like I said, we were friends after we had like decided to end things, but that kind of stopped after all that took place, because if the person who had confronted him didn't know me as well as he did, because he knows me very well. If he didn't, though, and he didn't know my history as well as his, it could have been like I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. So that's why I just don't really talk to him. But anyway, so that's basically my story with him. So then I was dating a guy named Vincent. Now, for a little while, I was dating Alex and Vincent at the same time. So with him, it all started because I used to join this program. It was called LEAD. And it was basically a program for high school kids. We did things like educational activities. We did overnight trips. We did like all sorts of things. And I was sad because for a little while, me and Alex had broke up because of an incident that occurred when we were on an airplane together, which I did talk about on this channel. I know I did. So if I can find that video, I will link it down below for you guys. But I know I had talked about that on this channel. So I remember I was telling all my friends that I was really sad that we broke up and I wanted Vincent to be my boyfriend. And I don't know what it was, but I liked him. I don't know what it was about him, but like I said, I liked him. So I said to my friends that I was going to ask him. So I went up to him, and I was 16 when this happened. So I was like, oh, would you be my boyfriend? And he said yes. And then I was like jumping up and down. I started screaming. And so we were told to stop screaming. That's basically what happens when there's staff around you. But basically we just like we were just talking like through email. Sometimes we'd talk on the phone, and we would like hang out together at these LEAD events. And there were some things that were going on. I saw some red flags. Now, over the summer, this is the summer of 2008, so things were going well between us. Like, we would see each other at these LEAD events. But then we went to this college program together. It was like a mock college program that the Commission for the Blind they had put together. But we went to this program together, and he took another girl to the prom. And he not only took this other girl to the prom, but we hardly even hung out together. Like, he would just ignore me, give me the cold shoulder. So I knew, like, okay, he's cheating. So I was telling my friends about it. I was all upset. So let's fast forward to a couple months later. I think it was September. Yeah, it was September of that year. So 2 months later, I actually gave him another chance. He asked me back out. So anyway, okay, so I'm going to have to back up a little bit more. I have like so many stories about these exes of mine. So this was like the same, this happened, all this stuff happened that I'm about to talk about within like 2 weeks of each other. So I was dating this guy, Dan. Now, Dan's the one who I told you that there's this one story that I'm going to be leaving out. I'm not going to be telling one of the stories. So it's him. So this was September of 2008. I think a friend of mine had told me about this guy. So we talked on the phone and like texted like nonstop. And we kind of just made our relationship official. So one day we started just like talking on like instant messenger. We started texting, and then like 2 days later we made our relationship official. So he wanted to meet me in person, and we decided to go to the mall. Now I already had plans to go to the mall with a friend from school, and her name is Alyssa. So I had plans to go to the mall with her, and I asked her if it would be okay if Dan would join us, and she said it was fine. So all three of us we were walking around the mall together, and I was like, I think it went well. I think everything went well. But we had broke up like a week later because there were some miscommunications, and one of those were that when I went to the mall with my friend, and when we went to the mall together and my friend was with us, he said that made him feel awkward. It made him feel uncomfortable. And I kind of explained to him that like, I'm like, yeah, we had plans to go to the mall anyway, me and her, but I feel like it was kind of like meant to be, because I got to, because when you meet someone that you don't know, like for the first time, it's good to meet in a public place, and like maybe if you're with a friend too. So he kind of, when I explained that to him, he kind of agreed. So we got back together like a week later, and I forget what happened there, but we had broken up again. Like I said, I don't remember exactly what happened. It's kind of like, I'm kind of like drawing a blank. I'm not really remembering right now. But we had broken up, and then I would say we were together for maybe like a couple weeks. I don't even remember how long we were together. But then a couple weeks later was when I asked, when my friend Vincent reached out to me, and we got back together. So this kid Dan, we were talking on instant messenger, and he apologized to me, and he said, I'd like to get back together with you. I really like you. And I just said to him nicely, I said, I'm sorry, but I'm already in a relationship. My ex, he had asked me back out again. So I told him, like, one of my other boyfriends had asked me back out. So it wouldn't be right to just say yes to him and then be dating both of them. So he was understanding, and he was like, okay, like, I hope he's treating you well, and like he was okay with that. So for a while we just remained friends. So this is still my junior year of high school. So I was going out with that guy Vincent, and then a few months later, so we're going to fast forward to December of 2008, I was out with Alex. We were out to eat together. It was me and him and both of our mothers. Because at this point, his siblings, my brother, we were all like older, so they all kind of just did their own thing instead of all of us just going out together like we did when we were younger. So I asked him to my junior prom, and he said, sure, I'd like to go with you. And we actually, our parents had asked us if we were, I forget exactly how they worded it, but they asked if we were back together. And he said, yep, it's official. So we kind of like just put all that aside. We had apologized for what happened that broke us up for like over a year. We kind of just put all that aside. Now, one thing that I had forgotten to mention, when that year that we were broken up, like when I asked Vincent out, there was this guy I was talking to, and me and Alex both know him. His name is Connor. So we were talking on AIM, and I remember I had said something to him. I said, oh, I'm really sad that me and Alex broke up. And he had some really funny memories of me and Alex. Like one time we were trying to like make out in the closet one time when we were at a Parents of Blind Children meeting together. and we were in like the child care room. We were all like in there together, and we were hiding in the closet. And then like I remember I threw something, but I was talking to this kid Connor, and I told him that I was sad about like me and Alex breaking up and all that, and I said, well, how would you feel about you and I dating? And I was 15 and he was 13 at the time. So he's like, I only date girls who are fat. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, like I had to accept that. Like, what else was I going to say? Like, I couldn't force him. So I told one of my friends about that, and she's like, what? It's the inside that counts. He doesn't realize that. I'm like, no, he doesn't. So we'll go back to, that day that I asked Alec to the prom. So I asked him to the prom, and it was official, and we were back together, and we worked out all the details for the prom. And at the time, I was dating Alex and Vincent at the same time. I know that, like, I shouldn't have been doing that, but I was. Because, like I said, when you're 16, 17, you don't always know what you want. So I was like, and some of my friends were, like, annoyed with me. I remember my friend, this girl, Brittany, that I'm friends with, she was annoyed about that. Like, we were fighting over it. I'm like, I wanted to tell her, like, this is my dating life is none of your business. Like, you don't dictate to me how I treat my boyfriends, and you don't dictate to me my dating life. Like, that's not how it's supposed to be. Because there was another time when she got annoyed because I was talking about that guy, Dan. And there was one day when we started liking each other, and then 2 days later, we made it official. And I was like, no, it's this day, the day we started liking each other. And she was like, no, it's today. So we were fighting over that. She said the date that you start dating is the day you actually make it official, not the day you start liking each other. But again, that's none of her business. It shouldn't matter to her. Like, my dating life is none of her business. I mean, I guess I can't really say that because I'm putting it out on the internet for you guys, but the difference is that you guys are probably not going to dictate to me my dating life and how it should be, or how you want it to be. That's the difference. So anyway, I was dating Alex and Vincent at the same time for about like 7 months. So we'll fast forward to, let's see, I guess we're going to fast forward to, because everything was like going well. Me and Vincent would communicate by email, text. Well, for a while he couldn't text because like didn't have a phone that could like read it. So sometimes we talked on the phone, but mainly we communicated by email or seeing each other on our trips. So for about 7 months, that was what we did. And then I was, it was like the summer of 2009. So it was about like, it was June of 2009. I remember one of my friends had texted me, this girl, Chantel, that I've been friends with on and off. And she said that she had some bad news. And I knew that Vincent was like, I don't remember exactly how I found this out, but he was kind of like, he was messing around with this girl, Alicia. And I didn't really like her, but that's either here nor there. So this girl, Chantel, who I'm friends with, she was like, so Vincent is dating Alicia. Like, that was the bad news she had to tell me. And I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said to her, but I was like, I remember that what I do remember is I wasn't happy about it. And I think I said something to him. I confronted him about it, and he said, well, you and I could just secretly date and nobody else has to know. So he would just like talk to me and her at the same time, but he wouldn't tell her, which again, that's wrong. But like I said, when you're 16, 17, you don't always know. You don't know what you're looking for. So you just bounce around from one person to the next, or sometimes you might see more than one person at a time. So that was what we were doing. So anyway, we'll fast forward to camp. I remember, it was actually a couple days before camp. He like wasn't calling me. He wasn't returning my calls. He wasn't returning my texts. So one of my friends and I, we were like, my friend was over my house, and she was like, if you don't, and I told her, I was like, if Vincent doesn't call me back, I'm going to tell him, no make out. I'm not making out with you, Drew. Because that was the name of the program. Because we went twice. You were allowed to go 2 years. So we went to the camp together, and my friend, this girl Melissa that I was friends with, I told her about this whole thing with like Vincent and Alicia, and she was like, "Well, they seem pretty romantic to me," because I told her about like how Vincent's like not really. We're kind of like he said he's just friends with her, but like they're pretty romantic. So that upset me. So we go to this camp together, and again, just like the year before, he was like ignoring me. He was giving me the cold shoulder. He wasn't texting me back. He wasn't like, I'd call him, he wouldn't answer his phone. I would text him and I'd be like, "Oh, you want to come down to the lounge? We can hang out." But like again, I never heard anything. He was always just ignoring me. Didn't even like pay attention to me or anything. So we go to the dance because they have like they have like a prom like they do. So he was again dancing with another girl. And apparently he's still like this today. But anyway, so yeah, he was dancing with this other girl, and like at that point I decided to just like that I was done. So I was upset, of course. I decided like, okay, I'm done. So meanwhile, when all this was going on, me and Alex were still together, and I went to Alex's senior prom in June of 2009. And Vincent saw, because I used to go on this website for the blind called Blink Nation. And I used to write blogs. So I blogged about it. And he's like, "Oh, I saw you went to Alex's senior prom." And I was like, because I think he sent me an email. He said that. And I responded to him. I said, "Yeah, we just went as friends. And we saw each other the next day because we had one of those lead activities." So he said, so I said, "Yeah, I went to Alex's prom yesterday, but I just went, but like I didn't go with him as a boyfriend." He was like, "Yeah, you just went as friends." Like, as if he didn't believe me. So I knew that was when, like, I was done. So then, like, the next day was when I found out about this Alicia girl that he was with. Again, like, I wasn't too happy about that, but there was nothing really I could do because he wasn't going to just break up with her. So I know this video is, like, I'm, like, going back and forth, but I keep like forgetting to talk about certain things. And so we go to camp, we come back, and like I still kind of like missed him, so I still was like trying to reach out to him. So this is August of 2009. So I was talking to one of my friends on AIM, and I had told her, this girl Jessica that I was friends with, I said that I missed talking to Vinny, and like, I actually gave her his number so that she could call him. I know, I shouldn't have done that, but she did call him. And she said to me, she's like, "I got a hold of Vinny, and I'll call you and tell you what he said." So she did. And she said, "I got a hold of Vinny. He said he'll call you later. He said he loves you. He misses you." So I was like, okay, that's fine. So I never hear from him, ever. So that was when, like, I was kind of, like, done. I didn't really talk to him. So during this time, again, like, me and Alex are still together. So let's see. I'm trying to think if anything happened between then and, okay, so so we're going to fast forward to December of 2009. Okay, so December 2009, I was dating this guy that my friends knew. His name was Darius. I didn't really care for him, but Alex had thought that because he had other problems, like he had crutches, he had some other disabilities like that I didn't have. So Alex thought that I wanted to date somebody who was on crutches and stuff. And I'm like, that's not true at all. So like he somehow had like some misunderstanding of that. So this Darius guy kept on was just like interfering with my relationship. He kind of just like texted me. He was like, "Okay, this is the date. We're in a relationship." And like he just like wouldn't stop texting me and stuff. So that was going on. We were like, I kind of just like went along with it because I didn't know like what else to do. He was just like wasn't stopping. So exactly a month later, I was like, I broke up with him through a text. I was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. We're not dating. We never were. You just messed up my other relationship that I have. So that was it. I just broke up with him. So for like 2 months, he left me alone. So then in March of 2010, he was texting me again, doing the same exact thing. But this time, I didn't go for it. I was like, nope, we are not in a relationship. I just ignored him, I think, at that point. So I think that's about it as far as the stories I have with my exes. So one thing that I had forgotten to mention, I was telling you guys about that guy Dan I was with. My friend Alyssa that I went to school with. I remember I would talk to her on AIM all the time. And we started dating, like when we broke up and we got back together for the second time. The date was September 21st. And on my profile, I had put the 13th. So if you guys figure that out, we were not even together for a week. So she said, now you have to change the date to the 21st. So I did, but then the second time we broke up, I don't remember exactly like what happened, like I said. And then when he asked me out for the third time, because we had worked things out like the second time. So when he asked me out the third time, he wanted to like work things out with me. And I was kind of just like, that was when I said that I had gotten back together with one of my other boyfriends, with my ex. And he was understanding and he was like, I hope he's treating you well and stuff like that. So, okay, I think that's about it. I think there you have it. One thing, so as far as Vincent and I go, I think I gave him another chance in March of 2010. This was like shortly after the Darius thing. Or actually it was when I was dating that guy, that Darius, when he was messing around with me again, like for the second time. I gave Vincent another chance, but I kind of like, didn't last very long because he was lying about things. He was like, for example, I was going to go over his house one day because we had Easter break and he was like, my parents are going to be out of town. Then there was another time when he had said we were going to take paratransit and we were both going to use it. Like he was going to come over to my house and then I was going to get a window for us so we could like go out to eat somewhere. And he was like, he said that paratransit just said that he canceled. Like they just called him and was like, oh, by the way, you canceled, so we're not going to pick you up. Which I know that doesn't happen. So he like lied a lot about a lot of things and cheated on me. So that was when I decided to just end it with him. So I think that about does it for all of my ex stories. I know this was really long and there was probably a lot of information that I left out only because I didn't want this video to be extremely long. So that's like the only reason, but I hope that you guys enjoy this video. Like I said, this is like a more updated version of that video that I had done a while back. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it and I will talk to you guys tomorrow for another video.